What's going on YouTube? It's Coco, CoCoVille Tuesdays. You know what it is. This is episode 8. We've done this little thing in the beginning, and I'm coming at you with a bit more energy this time. We're gonna keep the pace up a bit. Now you're probably thinking, why is he doing this? Normally he talks really monotonous, kind of like this the whole time, just describing what happens on screen. But the reason I'm doing this is mainly to distract you from the natural disasters, the famine, and just overall depression that my city goes into in this episode. Um, yeah, so it's not going to be good. So we're just trying to keep the commentary up, keep it light, and yeah, you can just kind of watch along. I don't want to describe all the bad things as they happen, so I'll just get them out of the way now. You may remember a few episodes ago I mentioned that there was a bug in the game where fires weren't starting, like buildings just would not catch fire. They fixed that probably about 2 episodes ago now, and you probably noticed the last, probably 2 episodes that there'd be the occasional fire. It was working properly as it should, but I think they may have slightly overtuned it, especially when you kind of factor in the massive, what is probably a hurricane that came through my city in this episode. Now, you may not be aware, but thunderstorms, and specifically lightning in this game, will cause fires if they hit buildings. So you combine the already high fire rate of about one building every 15 seconds with a constant thunderstorm, and basically the whole city was just burning. And then we run into another issue of basically not having enough resources for any of the businesses. That's mainly because a lot of my industrial, and I mean, I don't have a lot of industrial to start with because I want it to look clean in my city, but most of my industrial is specialized, and specialized tends to export rather than just keep their products in the city. So basically everything for my city is being imported. I do have a few places that are importing. I have the cargo, I have the railway line, and of course the highways. So we do have some good importing, but it's also kind of being clogged up by all the exporting that's happening. So we run into that, and then the other issue you kind of saw me deal with already is just an overwhelming amount of dead in my city. Now, that's a pretty easy one to fix. You just put down more crematoriums, cemeteries, and stuff, even though technically, if you look at the map, it says that I have good coverage everywhere, but it just was not happening. And then you'll notice here I ran out of water, treatment, everything. So that was another good thing that really helped the health of the city. So we get that fixed pretty quickly, at least. But yeah, lots of bad stuff happening to this city this week, and I mean we more or less fixed most of it. I've run into all these issues before. I kind of forgot about the running out of goods for businesses thing, but it's fixable, and we do that in this episode. You can see here I'm just trying to deal with the overwhelming amount of death in the city still. So we deal with that, and then here I'm looking to see what natural resources we have so I can put down more industry. You really can't get away with just not having industry in your city and relying on imports, which kind of sucks because, I mean, a lot of places do, in a sense. Obviously the scale of this game is quite a bit different, so you can't really have like industry in a completely separate town or city or whatever that's like 45 minutes away. But yeah, in this we kind of had to just throw some down quickly. I went with farming there because it's fairly green, so you don't run into a lot of the pollution, and it kind of fills out that area between the highway. And you can see here, just scattered throughout this video, there will be a whole bunch of buildings on fire. And I was just looking there. Most of my offices ended up being level 3 in that square that we worked on, I guess last episode and the episode before. So that worked out pretty well. I did also notice that my buses were completely overwhelmed for the most part, so we had to do some adjusting there, even though I had 18 buses on that one route, which was more than I planned. But yeah, CoCo Wood Hills here, it ended up looking pretty good. A lot of the villas have already kind of filled out to the point where they're looking like expensive villas rather than just like a low budget single family home. And there's a nice view. I want to get a view like what they would see kind of looking out. And it's pretty nice. So I think the kind of head canon of that being like a rich person area kind of worked out. Um, yeah, so this, for the most part, we end up just filling out kind of what's left in these areas. There are a few spots that I kind of just kept open in the past in case I wanted to put some other service there, but I think at this point we have pretty much all of the services in place, so we're fine there. And then the railway line, I didn't really want to put another one just because you can see it's underground and they'd be crossing each other underground at different depths and it'd just be a pain. So I just went with a bus line that covers that whole farming area. And then I have no idea what happened there. Everyone was doing U-turns because there was another fire there. So that may have had some impact on it as well. Traffic's getting a little heavy. I think next episode I'll probably go into that and just try and either upgrade roads or make bypasses or stuff like that. But for now, everything is functioning, I guess. I do realize that farming is not going to be enough for what the businesses need, so I end up just putting this whole little area as industry, which originally I didn't want to do, but I realized it's right close to the highway, which is good. They can just completely bypass basically all of the residential areas, so I do that anyways. I don't really like kind of how I organize this. I'll probably make it into something a bit better because eventually I'm going to be going over that highway anyways for the whole other section, so I'll probably turn that into a clover leaf of some kind. But we just fill this whole point as an industrial area. Originally I thought, residential by the water, but it's stuck between a railway line and a highway, so it's not a great spot for residential anyways, and it's too out of the way for commercial. So I specialize part of this, but again, like I said before, specialized industry tends to just export for the most part, which isn't going to solve any of my problems. So I have to put some generic as well, which is why I only zoned about 3/4 of that little point. We end up doing ore for part of it, generic for part of it, and then we have the farming up at the top there. Which I'm going to kind of segue here. I've been considering doing a farming simulator kind of series similar to this, although I don't know if it would work with it being sped up or not, or if I'd have to cut it, and cutting it takes so much more time, so I don't know if I would. That's kind of why I like this, because I can just set it to 4x speed after playing for an hour, stick it on here, watch it, do my kind of commentary over it, and it's pretty much done. I'm sure these are known to be kind of low effort at this point, or low production value, I guess. I do try and make like a good city and stuff, but yeah, just something to keep in mind. And thank you for all the views on the last episode went crazy. I think I had like 160 something in one day, which is just wild. So thank you for that, and anyone that likes or comments and stuff like that, I appreciate it for sure. And again, no one's taken me up on this yet, but if you'd like your name written, like a street named after you, just put it in the comments. I can do that. If you have a particular one that isn't already custom named by me, you can let me know. Obviously, it's probably going to be kind of hard to tell from it zooming so fast, but you can see here now, we're getting a lot of those little blue squares above businesses, which is them running out of goods. And that spreads through pretty much the entire city, which is not great. And then a lot of them end up being abandoned, which isn't a great look. And we also did run into that issue with the industry that I put down, and that's mainly because the people that are in the city that are unemployed are higher education than basically what regular industry expects. They only usually deal with low education, so those people are working at other places instead. So what I end up doing is just the Industry 4.0 policy lets you, it puts up output, which is good. Oh yeah, here you can see one of the not iconic ones, but whatever they're called, caught fire, and here the lightning took out the electrical lines, which took out the water for the whole city, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, you can see it spreads pretty much everywhere here, the whole city, so I need to get more industry going. So yeah, I use that policy, which gives you more output, but less jobs per business, which is fine to me because right now we're struggling to get enough people to work anyways, and it hires higher income people, which again we want. Here I put another cargo terminal just in hopes of getting more imports, but for the most part it ends up just being used for exports from those industries that I just placed down. So it didn't really do exactly what I needed it to, but it might help. And I mean, it kind of makes sense. You can see it just gets filled up almost instantly and a train goes out. So not a lot of the industry is actually staying in, which isn't ideal. And I said before, I'm going to be redoing that intersection with the highway because it's not going to work well enough. We do expand because we run out of workers. I do put down more residential in this episode as well, both low density and spots that were missing in the original part of the city back when it was a town, and also higher density just to try and get people working, basically, because as soon as you bring people in, they're instantly low education anyway, so it works out that way. But yeah, I think it's going to take a while before we really fix the problem. And I did build this area here because I realized one of the main problems was the highway is all the way to the west and also to the south. And a lot of my commercial is either central or like northeast. So the trucks that come from the highway have to go all the way through the city pretty much, which obviously slows things down. We had that problem with the oil power plant way back when I had that. So I built this area and I just continued the highway. And the goal here is basically just have this for the most part be industrial. Originally I was kind of considering having the airport up here, but I think the airport is probably going to go near the bottom somewhere now, just because I need industrial nearby. Although it depends. If my industrial catches up and I have too much of it, I may just scrap some of it and put the airport there anyways. Because that's a pretty good spot to get to the main part of the highway. This is another one that'll probably end up being like a proper cloverleaf or something after, because it doesn't have great flow. But for the most part right now, it's not being accessed by a lot of the city, so the cars don't really go over it a ton. But yeah, we just fill this out and then just make it all industry. I went with just forestry because it has the forest there, which might not be ideal because I might just end up exporting again, but I'm hoping because they're so kind of far away from export points, aside from the one cargo one on the water there, I'm hoping they're far enough away that they'll just kind of send some of it to businesses instead. But I'm also not sure if wood, like the lumber industry, can go straight to businesses or not, so I don't know, but we already had some industry up here anyway, so the nuclear power plant's there, so people probably don't want to live too close to that. So it's not super high land value or desirability anyway, so it's fine to fill it. And then, yeah, I just kind of went over everything. You can see everything's just going to crap there. We got abandoned buildings, stores don't have enough, people are sick or dead. But yeah, I realized I kind of forgot to do some districts the last couple episodes, so I did those, and then here I'm applying all the policies just to try and, one, cut down on garbage, and two, make the land value a little better. And then yeah, I have to go with Industry 4.0 for most of these places, which, if you remember in the past, I accidentally activated that and basically lost all of my industry because at that point people weren't educated. Now they are. So it should be fine. I'm really holding off, just pausing and taking a drink, because talking this fast and this much constantly is burning out my throat. I can feel it. But I'm not going to do that, because that's my devotion to you. And all I ask in return is 1 like on this video. Now, statistically, most of you are gone by about 1 minute 30 seconds. So the people that are still here, thank you. I appreciate it. Feel free to name drop in the comments. If you made it here, put down... just put a comment that says yellow bananas forever or something like that. That way I'll know that you made it here. Just do it right now. It's fine. And yeah, we basically went through everything in this. We just added a lot of industry and kind of just fine-tune stuff, and now I'm just fishing for a thumbnail. So that is pretty much this whole episode. Hopefully we'll get it all fixed next episode, and we're really close to the airport, so that should be coming soon too, which will definitely help. But yeah, that's it. Thanks everyone. See you next time. Bye.